Buck, a big debate of late has been this University of Pennsylvania swimmer that has, for 3 years, swam as a man and then decided to become a women's swimmer and has been dominating. And what's interesting is the NCAA, which is the body that oversees college athletics, has effectively acknowledged that their existing policies don't make sense. And in particular, they've said basically, if you stop your testosterone for 12 months, this is what's going on. So for people out there who have not paid attention to this story, we have got biological men that are deciding to identify as women and then are crushing women's athletes. And this swimmer who swam for 3 years as a man at the University of Pennsylvania is now swimming as a woman and may set an all-time record that has never existed before in women's college swimming. And there's an interesting quote here that one of my writers, Joe Kinsey, has been doing a great job covering at Outkick, if you're at all intrigued by this story. And it says, for trans women who have successfully suppressed testosterone for 12 months, the extent of muscle strength loss is only about 5% after 12 months. And this expert says, testosterone suppression does not remove the athletic advantage acquired under high testosterone conditions at puberty, while the male musculoskeletal advantage is retained. That sounds a little bit complicated, but basically what it means, Buck, is men are bigger, stronger, and faster than women. And if you suddenly stop testosterone for a year, they're still able to produce 95% of the overall athletic dominance that they would have otherwise done, which means that a man is going to be better if he becomes a woman and decides to change his gender than a biological woman. It's crazy that we even have to have these conversations, but this is where we are.
You know, I talked about this story that your Outkick writer did yesterday, Clay, and it was one of those aha moments, because we were supposed to believe in this case, right, that just so I'm clear, is it a biological female who is competing against male? What was the actual transition status? It's tough to even keep all. So Leah Thomas is a biological male, also known as a male, who is competing against women.
Yes.
But Leah Thomas lost to another biological male it was a biological female who competes.
This is how confusing it's getting.
Against women, against women. So the biological female who is now claiming to be a male still swims against women. Well, this is the part of this so why doesn't the biological female who says that, can compete and beat Leah Thomas, and we know there's collusion, why isn't that individual swimming against men?
It's a great question. And by the way, it gets complicated. And it gets complicated is probably going to become the subtext of all women's athletics going forward as this occurs, because this is not a big issue. To your point, if a biological woman decides that she wants to become a man, she has no chance of competing with male athletics, right? There's no way that person would ever make a team most of the time, and certainly would never compete in the context of winning actual swim meets. And so the transgender activists like to say, well, this is not really a big deal. It cancels itself out. No, it doesn't, because biological men who decide to become women are the ones that are taking over women's athletics. And the scary part about this, Buck, is the number of actual female athletes that are willing to speak out against this is almost zero, because these college athlete women want to go to grad school, they want to get jobs, and they don't want their number one Google result to be questioning whether transgender athletes should be competing against them.
You swim in the Ivy League, for example, not because it's going to make you a millionaire, because it's not. You swim in the Ivy League so you can get a job working in, Google communications or something, making $200,000 a year in your 20s, your late 20s, whatever. That's why so they don't want to give that up. Obviously, they're all terrified.
Yes. And by the way, there's arguments here, and this will be fascinating, that this may eventually end up at the Supreme Court, because as women more and more are losing to biological men, there's going to be a question about how this is implicating Title IX which requires even equality of scholarship. And if you've got a lot of biological men who are taking away, in theory, scholarships that would otherwise go to women, this is going to turn into a monster issue going forward.